Segmental reporting.
The company background of the MediaPrima was established in 2003 and grew to become Malaysia's leading fully integrated media company. MediaPrima was formed out of the merger of Malaysian Resources Corporation Berhad media assets, namely System Television Malaysia Berhad, which ran the TV3 and the New Straits Times Press Malaysia Berhad. MediaPrima has grown to include MediaPrima Omnia, RAV, and the MediaPrima Audio, which is the MediaPrima Omnia is a group of the advertising arm, which is they have specializing in brand campaigns, event, and creative content. RAV Media Group is the group of digital arms, which is Malaysia's leading digital publisher, representing over 40 top authority brands with an extensive distribution network that reach out of more 15 million people each month, about 75% of Malaysian internet population. And lastly, MediaPrima Audio is represented through 4 broadcast brands such as Hot FM, Bulletin FM, Fly FM, and Egg FM.
My name is Muhammad Zulusni as an executive accountant. Right now, I will be presenting about the management approach or factor to consider having reporting segment. There are 3 of them, but first, I will explain the definition of segment reporting. Segment reporting is a process of analyzing and presenting financial information by segment or specific business unit within a company. These segments are often distinguished by product, services, geographic region, or customer groups. Without further ado, let's take a look for the first factor, nature of business activity. Nature of business activity defined as any activity that is being carried out by an entity with the main objective of gaining profit maximization. MediaPrima Berhad is a media-related business such as TV network, radio, out-of-home advertising, digital media, and content creation. Then, the second factor is the existence of managers responsible for activities. Each of the operative segment generally has a segment managers who is directly accountable to and maintains the regular contact with the CODM. This is because the role of manager is to discuss about the financial position, operating activities, and the future forecast for the segment. Since MediaPrima is a large company, hence, each of the segment will be monitored by managing director and need to be reported to upper level management on a regular basis. And then, the third factor is the information presented to board of director. The information presented to board of director shall be referred by CODM, as the information contains reliable information regarding the overall performance and financial position of the company. Through this, the BOD will have the information about the whole company performance, and then decision will be made wisely in terms of allocation and profit maximization. Next, we move on to the type of segment. The type of segment of MediaPrima Berhad is a business segment. Business segment is a component or unit of organization that generate revenue and incur expenses. MediaPrima Berhad is a media-related business, and the cost of the business are TV network, print, radio, out-of-home advertising, content creation, and digital media. And most importantly, MediaPrima Omnia are integrated advertising solution and is the provider to all of the services that I have said earlier. And lastly are the chief of decision making and its responsibility, which is CODM. CODM is the individual or group of individuals that is responsible for allocation of resourcing and assessing the performance of ITT business unit. And the CODM of MediaPrima Berhad is the board of director and senior management. The independent non-executive group chairman of MediaPrima Berhad are Datuk Seri Sheikh Hussein bin Sheikh Junid, and the person at the top side is Rafiq Razali, which is the group managing director and one of the senior management of MediaPrima Berhad. And here, I have listed other board of director and senior management in the table for your reference. According to FAR570, the responsibility by chief of decision making are to make decision on allocation of resources based on the performance to ensure the company to obtain more profit. Second responsibility, they need to assess the performance of various segments. They also need to regularly review the operating result of both set of component and financial information. And lastly, they need to rely primarily on net interest revenue to assess the performance of the segment and make decision about the resources to be allocated to the segment.
Came here, also the new account executive will move on to the identifications of reportable and non-reportable segment. The process to identify reportable and non-reportable segment is based on MFRS 8, where an entity is required to use a certain amount of judgment in determining the operating segments of the company by conducting 10% threshold test and 75% total revenue requirement. The business segment are to be disclosed separately and classified as reportable segment if it meet at least 10% of threshold test and 75% total revenue requirement respectively. There are three methods of the 10% test, which are revenue basis, profit or loss basis, and also asset basis. Meanwhile, for the 75% test, it will only be conducted based on a revenue basis of 10% threshold test to determine whether the segment exceeds 75% or not. For MediaPrima Berhad, we will use the revenue basis of 10% threshold test as well as 75% test in identifying the operating segments of the company. The 10% threshold test revenue basis is evaluated by measuring total reported external and internal revenue over total revenue of all operating segments. Based on annual report, the total external and internal revenue of 1,120,000,000 and 188,000 is used to measure the 10% threshold test of the company. Since there are 7 operating segments of the MediaPrima Berhad, the 10% threshold test has resulted in 4 reportable segments and 3 non-reportable segments. As per calculation, the reportable segments are Omnia, Broadcasting, Premedia and Home Shopping has produced 61.93%, 42.85%, 12.38% and 23.98% respectively. On the other hand, outdoor media, content creation and digital media are indicated as non-reportable segment since their result below than 10%.
Next, we use 75% rule. External revenue of combined reportable segment 1,049,116 divided by total external revenue 1,120,188 times by 100% and we got 93%. The amount exceed the 75% requirement. The management don't need to identify or add the other segment since the external revenue of combined reportable segment is more than 75% of the company total revenue. However, if the external revenue of combined reportable segment is less than 75% of the company total revenue, an additional operating segment shall be identified as reportable segment. This is new segmental report of the company. From the calculation on previous slide, the operating resulted in 4 reportable segments: Omnia, Broadcasting, Premedia and Home Shopping, and the other 3 non-reportable segments are combined and identified as other segments.
So, the advantages of segmental report is to help user make better and clear decision, which is they have notes to the company financial statement, which are the notes from the company are very important to the user to make the best investment to the decision. Secondly, help shareholders get a complete picture of the firm operation because segment reporting provide the information about the different type of business activities and different of economy environment. And the thirdly, transparency. Transparency is a reveal which is segment profit and which segment is suffering a loss. It is very important to evaluate sustainability and ethics of the company and to monitor the performance in the company. And the disadvantage of the segmental report is time of consuming the process, which is many resources are required into many type of activity for a firm. Different in method of reporting inter segment transaction, which is there are many methods which are cost plus market price and negotiated prices. All the results are different in operating result for reporting segment. And the lastly, best of segment, which is basic problems which are in segment reporting is sufficient of diversified company segmental reporting purposes. Every base of segmentation create a segment differently which can be based on the geographical location or product-wise. Each base has own limitation and their own problems.
Next, we move to our presentation for the interim reporting, which is MFRS134. Generally, basis of preparation of interim reporting can be divided into two, which are integrated method and discrete method. An integrated method is a part of annual and is a fraction of annual report formatted by multiplying annual values and the fraction of the reporting period. Meanwhile, a discrete method is usually for interim financial reporting. It is where the interim report is separated from the period or known as self-standing. The report is also prepared periodically. MediaPrima Berhad basis of preparation of interim reporting is an unaudited interim financial statement have been prepared in accordance with the MFRS 134 interim financial reporting and paragraph 9.22 of the listing requirement Bursa Malaysia of Security Berhad. The group audited annual financial statement of the financial year ended 31 December 2021 should be read in conjunction with the unaudited interim financial statement, which were prepared in compliance with the MFRS and International Financial Reporting Standard IFRS and the requirement of the Companies Act 2016 in Malaysia. Interim financial statement includes explanatory notes attached to the interim financial statement, provide an explanation of event and transactions that are significant to an understanding of the changes in the financial position and the performance of the group since the financial year ended 31 December 2021.
My name is Muhammad Izaidi bin Haris. I am Senior Accountant of the company. Now, I will talk about the company accounting policies used by the MediaPrima Berhad in preparing interim report. Firstly, the accounting policies used by the company for measurement of investment property. According to MFRS 140, investment property defined as a land or building held by the owner or by the lessee under finance lease to a rental or capital appreciation or both. There are two measurements after recognition, which is cost model and fair value model. Cost model requires an asset to be carried at its initial cost, less any accumulated depreciation and impairment losses. Fair value model is a gain or loss arising from the changes in fair value of investment property, and it shall be recognized in profit or loss for the period in which it arises. So, MediaPrima Berhad measure their investment property using cost model. Next, the accounting policies used by the company is MFRS 16 lease. A contract contains a lease if it conveys the right to control the use of an identified asset for a period of time in exchange for consideration. Leases are recognized as right of use asset and corresponding liabilities. Lessees need to recognize the right of use and obligation to pay the liabilities created by the lease in the statement of financial position. During the financial year, the group and the company had applied practical experience to account for COVID-19 related to rent concession that meets the following condition. Number 1, changes in lease payment resulted in revised consideration for the lease. Number 2, any reduction in lease payment affect only payment due to or before 30 June 2021. And number 3 is there is no substantive changes to other term and condition for lease. However, this adoption of the MFRS 140 and MFRS 16 are not expected to have material impact in the financial statement of the group.
Thank you, Izaidi, for the great explanation. So the minimum content that should be present in the interim financial report is a set of condensed financial statements for the current and comparative prior period information. There are 5 types of interim reports, which are the unaudited condensed consolidated statement of comprehensive income, statement of financial position, statement of cash flow, statement of changes in equity, and notes to the interim financial report. An interim report is the reporting of the financial result of any prior period that is shorter than a fiscal year. A company may choose to prepare their income report half-yearly or quarterly. MediaPrima Berhad prepared their interim reports quarterly from 1st January 2022 until 31st March 2022. Next, I will let Hakimi to present the next slide.
The period for the current and the comparative of the MediaPrima. Its accounting period will end on 31 December every year The period of the current and comparative of each segment is prepared by the management of the company according to the FAR570, and we have analyzing that the interim financial reporting is for the first quarter MediaPrima in 2022. As you can see here, the statement of profit or loss and another comprehensive income. The current interim of the reporting period of the current interim is 3 months, which is 1 January 2022 until 31 March 2022. The cumulative year to date is 3 months also, 1 January 2022 until 31 March of 2022. The comparative of the current interim is 3 months, 1 January 2022 until 31 March of 2022. And lastly, comparative year to date is 3 months, 1 January 2022 until 31 March of 2022. The statement of financial position. The current interim of the statement of financial position, the reporting period is 3 months. The date of the current interim is 1 January 2022 until 31 March of 2022. The comparative end of the year is 3 months, 1 January 2022 and 31 March 2022. And the statement of the change in equity, the reporting period of the cumulative year to date, 3 months, 1 January 2022 until 31 March 2022. The cumulative year to date, 3 months, 1 January 2022 until 31 March 2022. And lastly, the statement of cash flow is the importing is the period of 3 months, 1 January 2022 until 31 March 2022, and the cumulative year to date 3 months, 1 January 2022 until 31 March 2022.
Now, let's take a look for the first adjustment, which is adjustment on the depreciation. MediaPrima acquired a new building for their new studio on 1st February 2022, amounting to 5 million with useful life or 10 years with straight-line basis method. This is a subtract of financial position before and after adjustment. So, as you can see, before the adjustment, the non-current asset PPE is amounting to 340,093,000 ringgit. After the MediaPrima acquired the new building, so there will be the adjustment. To get the final amount of statement financial position, the current amount of PPE, which is 340,093,000 ringgit, should add with the carrying amount of new PPE. The carrying amount formula is cost minus with the accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment loss. Since MediaPrima uses straight-line basis method, so we just divided 5 million ringgit with 10 years, which equal to 500,000 ringgit. This amount will be depreciation expense for that year. So the carry amount of the new PPE is 4,500,000. So as we can see, the amount of the financial position after the adjustment for the PPE will be 318,593,000 ringgit.
On 1st January 2022, MediaPrima Berhad has no new ordinary shares to raise the capital for the company. So, the adjustment will be issuing new ordinary shares for 1 million units at 50 cents each. This is the extract of statement of financial position before and after the adjustment for the first quarter in interim report. The value of share capital before the adjustment in the current interim is 1,524,735,000. After the adjustment, it will be 1,525,235,000 since there is an additional 500,000 ringgit. With this adjustment, it can help company to raise capital to fund expansion without incurring too much debt. In this Q&A session, I will answer the frequently asked questions, which are: what is the advantages of segment report, and give 2 types of interim report. The critical advantage of segment reporting is transparency. Analysts, potential investors and other stakeholders need complete information to evaluate a company's sustainability and growth and monitor its management's performance. And the 2 types of interim reports are quarterly and semi-annually. That's all from us. Thank you.